What's up guys, Max here, and welcome back to Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, The Online Warrior Season 2, Episode 32. Making our way up these things, and we might have to start a Season 3 pretty soon. So if you guys had not gotten a chance, last week's episode was talking about a huge personal change that I had made to playing Ultimate Marvel 3 in the past episode or two, and that was taking off a few of the characters that are kind of staples of the teams that I play and seeing how it goes without them. It got a pretty good response. The team that I was playing primarily was Deadpool on point with Dante as an assist and Akuma as the backup, and I wasn't losing nearly as much as I thought I was going to. It went pretty smooth and I was having a lot of fun with the characters. My biggest issue with Deadpool is his mobility, his jump angles, and things like that. He's kind of a floaty character at the same time. It's kind of hard to describe, but for you guys that play Deadpool, you'll totally know what I mean. And I've been having probably the most fun using Cyber Akuma. Not regular Akuma, I specifically call him Cyber Akuma because he's the Akuma from Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, and he is totally freaking awesome. And anytime I use that character, I have so much fun. So much to the point that later on in this video, you'll also see another change of mine where I go back to a classic team of like Doom and Strider, but I put Cyber Akuma on front. And that team does kind of suck, so I might find a way to put Cyber Akuma on the front of my team to see how it goes. But I was having a lot of fun doing that. Probably the most fun that I have had playing Ultimate Marvel 3 in quite some time is with Akuma on point. So, getting away from that, we might talk about a little bit of the matches in this episode if the topic doesn't go on for very long. But what I really wanted to talk about today was a question that was asked of me on Twitter by an extremely professional player known as Perfect Legend. He has done extremely well previously in Mortal Kombat games, and even in Injustice he's doing very well too. And he asked me a question in regards to like the state of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and the question was, how do I feel about all of the untapped potential team-wise in Marvel? Now this is a good question, and it actually got me thinking quite a bit because it's somewhat related to the things I was talking about before, about me getting kind of bored with the game because there's so many of the same thing just over and over again, and it's so powerful, it's hard, hard to fight it, and seeing a lot of the same stuff as far as everyone else wanting me to use different teams and things like that. So it sparked an idea that I could possibly use for this episode, and that is like kind of this theme of like bandwagoning. For you guys that don't know, what happens in fighting games, especially nowadays with the informational age we live in, and the ability to go to YouTube, look up a match video, and just from that point forward get whatever you want. This is also somewhat related to the previous Real Talk episode, which is asking if we are spoiled. But more directly related to Marvel, there is definitely a trend that happens when something is discovered that is relatively easy to do and powerful that every single person picks it up on a competitive level. And in competition, you mostly see the exact same things over and over again. And at that point, it's just a competition of whose Doom and Virgil and Zero or whatever is better than other people's Doom, Virgil, and Zero. So that's essentially how it goes in a game like Ultimate Marvel 3. The thing is, you have so much potential in this game. You have so many options when it comes to team synergy, team setups, assists, and things like that. The amount of options you have in combination with assists is literally just epic. You can't even really fathom how much it is, and you'll never be able to complete all of it as a single person. There has been some pretty recent things that have gotten me pretty excited, like I talked before about Kane Blue River, and Kane doesn't do the usual. Like, he uses Hulk and he uses Sentinel as an assist, and with that in mind, what you guys have all seen this before, this is like the epitome online team for the most part, or it was for a very long time, and it was Hulk with drones. And Hulk with drones online is one of the most difficult things to get out of because you're just constantly stuck in block, and Hulk is constantly in your face with that standing heavy. What is cool about Kane Blue River is that he doesn't even use drones. He uses the rocket punch assist and makes his way in by other means. So what's nice about this is that there are still people innovating out there. There are still guys that are coming up with crazy team tactics and things like that. And you even have dudes that I've recently highlighted, like that Phoenix Wright guy that had just an amazing amount of synergy with his team, and it was just so impressive that I couldn't help but show it to other people, because that's what I kind of want to do now. I've taken this different, kind of trying to think of a different leap that I could take here, instead of just following the basics and getting really bummed out by the way that Marvel has turned out to be, to try to support the people that are trying to make it something different than it has turned out to be. Whether or not those people are going to be winning the top 8 major tournaments and going to EVO, or winning EVO for the most part, is up to a test of time. If that does happen, we'll get something that's absolutely amazing, similar to T.A. Fruitsy's MODOK play back in the day, And that kind of spawned a huge amount of MODOK play back in the day, so this bandwagoning thing of people just taking other people's strategies and moving forward is fairly prominent, and it does actually happen a lot. The interesting comparison between this and Ultimate Marvel 3 is that this isn't the only game that this has happened to. As far as a team-based game, when it comes to other fighting games, for example, and the ones that I have a lot of competitive experience with, the two games that fit this the most are Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and also Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Even when that game was out, very early on, there were a lot of strategies that were being spread around the arcades. It was in the first year of playing that game that Magneto seemed very powerful, and then everybody started picking up Magneto from that point forward. And then you had a top 5 assortment of characters that, if those characters weren't there, it'd be a completely different game. And that is the exact same for Ultimate Marvel 3, and this is what I responded to with Perfect Legend, was that I do believe that this game has an insane, just absolutely crazy, untapped potential in it with the amount of teams and synergy within those teams and its assists, but people stick to what works, and people stick to what they see online, what they see in videos, and what they see being talked about. And a lot of the times the top players are sharing the strategies with each other, and that strategy is what's going to remain prevalent for a very long time. So, it also is an ease of usability, and I've talked about this many times before. Like, the difference between Spencer and Spider-Man is that Spencer is just so much more damn easy to use than Spider-Man is, even though they do very similar things. It still is the case, it's still going strong, but there are guys out there that still support these characters. You can find them on YouTube. They have combo videos, they have match analysis guides, they have tutorials for their characters. It does exist. Marvel is not dead in the vein of the community supporting it and the people behind it. Marvel is kind of getting a little stale in the competitive environment, is kind of what I was trying to summarize, that when you watch the game competitively, most of the time, it's the exact same thing over and over again. And I could look back at a time when Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was out after about 2 months, and there were Wednesday night fights happening every single week at the Proud Bird, which was near the airport in Los Angeles. And at this tournament, every single time for a few months, you saw different things every single day, and it was just beautiful. Like, it was exactly what you wanted out of a fighting game. People discovering new tactics, new technology, crazy new things. And then a little bit down the line, you had the DHC glitch come in, and from that point forward, every single team, for the most part, was revolved around the DHC glitch, which was primarily a few characters. So, like, it wasn't the entire cast that can utilize this, it was only some. And then you started seeing those characters a ton, an absolute ton. So there was a time, dude, when Marvel 3 was probably my favorite fighting game in a very long time, because there was just so much stuff to be discovered, and it's absolutely amazing. It was beautiful. That was when the Online Warrior series was very young, when its system was starting, and trying to convey all this insane stuff that is in this game, because Marvel 3 was designed as an open-ended fighting game. They purposely did not do certain things to characters or the system to leave the game open-ended to allow players to innovate. And whether or not that's a good thing kind of remains up to public decision, but for myself, it can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing, and it was definitely an amazing thing when the game first came out, but now what has happened is that we have a game that definitely has some things that could probably use some work, and they're not going to receive patches, they're not going to receive any adjustments, and we're left with the game in a state that is pretty similar to Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Now, that isn't necessarily a bad thing, because top-level Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was a niche thing, but an extremely huge cult gaming presence for over 10 years. And whether or not Ultimate Marvel 3 is going to stand the test of time with something like that is kind of up to how everyone treats the game. So as long as people are still out there innovating is what I'm trying to get to. As long as there's still people out there finding crazy team tactics and synergy, glitches, bugs, tech, anything along those lines, those are the dudes that are going to be preserving the lifeblood of the game. Shockingly, as myself, I don't really get to do much of that, and the only chance I really had was back in the day when I had that video that I put up that was like in the lab with Strider, Doom, and Dante, and within an hour and a half, I had found something absolutely crazy, and I was like, wow, this is really freaking awesome. And within 2 hours or so, I was able to somewhat perfect it to get it into combo video form. And that just goes to show you that I've been using those characters since the original days of the original vanilla game, 2 of them at least. And I was still finding stuff. You can literally go into training mode and still find stuff with characters in a game that's nearly 2 years old, practically. That's freaking nuts. That's really awesome, actually. That's what makes Marvel 3 very unique in comparison to many other fighting games. And what I actually wanted to ask is that maybe we can kind of spread this around a little bit more. I've done things in the past with the community combo compilation video, and I think it might be a good chance to do something like that again, but instead of it being directed at a single character, maybe we can tackle 2 characters. Maybe take 2 characters like that are very awkward together, or 2 characters that are very popular, and use different assists or use a different type of synergy. Like, I'd like to give an example of maybe we can try out, like, I don't know, Chris Redfield and Chun-Li, and come up with the craziest stuff you could find with these 2 specific characters, and then go at it. And then maybe down the line we can expand it to multiple characters, like in 3 characters. So it'd be easy just to give people a starting point to try to invigorate the crowd of people watching, or people that don't want the game to die and support it, to actively come up with this stuff, because for the most part I try to keep people informed with what's going on with the games, and spending time in the lab is something that I absolutely love doing, but it's just so time consuming, and I personally don't have the time for it anymore with the schedule I've got. Which is why I really like to encourage people, and the folks that do go out and do this stuff, and if I find crazy things online, to showcase it, to show you guys, look, this dude using Phoenix Wright, Wesker, and Spencer just ripped my butt apart online. Just see how amazing this was. And just maybe this could inspire anybody else to come up with amazing things as well. So all I'm saying is that Ultimate Marvel 3 is essentially a canvas. You have all these colors which represent the characters in your game, and you can blend the colors together, and then once you start blending the colors together, you get your team. But when you start putting those colors on your canvas, which is the engine of Marvel 3, you get a beautiful painting. Something that'll illustrate exactly what you want and what you want to do at the perfect time, with things like team synergy, TAC setups, and all this crazy freaking stuff. So, I encourage you guys to check it out, and I also will say that I will probably do my best to make some community combo compilation stuff. It does take a while to put all those videos together and to gather everybody's stuff, and there is a lot of upset people at the end because their videos might not have made it, or I didn't see them. But I do think it is a very good thing to do at this point of life in the game, and it will probably inspire some people to do other stuff that you might not have seen before, if not, give you a chance to discover just something absolutely crazy. So, I think that'll probably be in the future very soon. And one thing I wanted to maybe point out or ask you guys is, I have this new team that I'm developing. You're seeing the teams of Deadpool, Dante, and Akuma, or maybe Akuma on point with Doom and Strider, which I don't think is a very effective team, mostly because Akuma's reaction to Strider, the Strider hard knockdown, has to be very fast, and it's going to take a very long time for me to get used to constantly going into that motion. But I have so much fun using Akuma on point. What I would like to do is, if you guys have any video examples, or have any examples of Akuma on point gameplay, or some crazy stuff that Akuma on point could possibly do with synergy of other characters, if it's synergy with, like, Dante and Deadpool, that'd be fantastic. I'll just put them on point and see how it goes. If it's synergy with Dr. Doom or Strider or anything of that nature, let me know in the comments below, and maybe I'll actually make a compilation video of it later. And if you have a video, make a video response. When you click on reply to this thread or reply to the to this video below, you'll see that you can actually add a video response and post a link of your own video on YouTube, which will be listed here. And I'll give huge shoutouts to anybody that helps me out with the synergy of some of these teams. Like I said, I don't get this much time, but I do definitely want to congratulate and let everybody know that these are the people that are coming up with amazing things for teams, and you should totally watch the stuff they do, because there are other Marvel content creators out there that come up with some really, really freaking awesome stuff. So, with that in mind, I hope that answers the question that was presented to me from Perfect Legend about the overall where the game is going right now and the untapped potential. And I also wanted to give a big thanks to anybody I ran into on PlayStation 3. You probably noticed that the matches that we were running in the background were running on the PlayStation 3 version of the game. My rank is not very high, but I was running into a huge amount of people that were very low ranked and should not have been low ranked. And it was pretty fun. Getting used to the PS3 version definitely takes a little bit of time in comparison to the Xbox. There is a significant difference between frame drops and things like that that I've personally noticed online. But it's still functional, it still works, and I'll definitely get through it in order to play games with a lot more of you guys. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, and I do appreciate all the support you guys to the previous video that was the Life Without Dr. Doom. It was very nice, and it was very, very heartwarming to see that a lot of people still care about the game, and still care about me making content for said game. My name is Maximilian, and I'll see you guys next week.